He thought I ended our baby. I was never even pregnant. I never thought I'd tell this story. Honestly, I tried to forget it, to delete every message, every photo, every single trace of him. But some stories, they don't let you go until you speak them out loud. We met online. He left a comment under a random post, and I replied, just for fun. That's how it started, with jokes, with sarcasm, with that easy connection you don't expect but instantly feel. He was older, almost 50, a dentist, divorced, with a teenage daughter. He liked motorcycles, loud dinners with friends, and living like the weekend never ends. And me? I was 38. I had a daughter, too. I worked in the fitness industry, tried to look strong, to stay busy. I had just gotten out of a weird, painful relationship and promised myself no more men. But then came Daniel, and suddenly that promise didn't matter anymore. He wasn't trying too hard. He wasn't pretending. He was just real, witty, direct, a little broken, maybe, like me. And somehow it felt safe. He made me laugh. He made me forget. And without realizing it, I started waiting for his messages every morning. We started seeing each other. No labels, no promises. He said, let's just enjoy it. No pressure. And at that moment, that was all I needed. For the first time in years, I felt alive again, but Daniel was complicated. He could be warm one day and distant the next. He'd text me for hours, then disappear for days. It was like being caught in a tide. You never knew when the next wave would pull you in or leave you standing alone on the shore. Still, I stayed, because every time he smiled, I believed, maybe this time it'll be different. Then one morning, I felt off. Nausea, fatigue, a late period. I bought a test, then another. 2 pink lines, pregnant. I sat on my bed staring at those lines, my hands shaking. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just sat there and thought of him. He'd said he didn't want more kids, that he was too old for all that. But a part of me, the stupid, hopeful part, thought maybe, just maybe, this was fate. So I told him, and he went silent for a week. When he finally texted, it said, if you've decided, I'll help. That's it. No, how are you feeling? No, what do you want to do? Just, if you've decided, I'll help. It broke something inside me, because I hadn't even decided yet, but I went to the clinic. Not because I wanted to, because I didn't see any other choice. I remember sitting in that cold waiting room, staring at the white walls and thinking, this can't be how our story ends. Something in me screamed, don't do it. But logic said, he doesn't want this. You'll be alone. You can't handle it. What I didn't know is that Daniel came to the same clinic later. He wanted to make sure I really was pregnant, and the doctor, God knows why, told him yes, that I was pregnant, that it was an early term. He believed her and hated me for it. He thought I killed his child. After that, silence, total silence. When I came back to the clinic a week later for a follow-up, the new doctor told me something I'll never forget. You were never pregnant. It was a mistake, a false positive, hormonal imbalance. I sat there frozen, numb, empty. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call him right there and tell him it was all a mistake. But when I tried, he didn't pick up. Weeks passed. Finally, I saw him again. He looked like someone I used to know, cold, distant, angry. You didn't even think twice, he said. You just did it. Daniel, I wasn't pregnant. It was an error. Stop. I talked to the doctor. I know the truth. He turned and walked away. Didn't even look back. And that was the last time I saw him. It's been months now. Sometimes he still likes one of my old photos, maybe by accident, maybe not. Sometimes I think I see him in a crowd, but maybe it's just my mind playing tricks. Every time I pass the lake where we once sat, I remember the way he laughed when I spilled wine on his shirt, the way he looked at me like he hadn't seen something real in a long time. We could have been happy. We almost were. But almost doesn't count, does it? He couldn't trust love again, and I couldn't prove I was telling the truth. Now all we have left is one word: almost. It's been a whole year since I last saw Daniel, and yet somehow he's still here, in the smallest things, in the playlist I can't delete, in the scent of mint toothpaste, because of course he was a dentist, in the quiet space between what could have been and what never was. For months I tried to move on. I went on dates, I smiled, I laughed, but every time someone leaned in too close, I pulled away, because they weren't him. I told myself I was over it, but grief isn't a clean break. It's like the tide. You think it's gone, and then one random song on the radio drags it all back. Then one day, out of nowhere, he texted me, "Hey, hope you're okay." That's it, after almost a year. My heart dropped. I stared at that message for an hour before replying, "I'm fine." You? He said he'd been thinking about me, that he'd found the courage to read the old messages we used to send, that he missed the way we laughed, and I wanted to say, "Then why did you believe a stranger instead of me?" But I didn't, because part of me didn't want to ruin that fragile peace. The first time he'd reached out since the storm. A week later, we met in the same coffee shop where we'd first talked for hours about everything and nothing. He looked older, tired, softer somehow. He smiled when he saw me, and for a second it felt like no time had passed at all. We talked about work, about life, about his daughter, about mine. Then, after a pause, he said, "You were right." I frowned. "About what?" "The doctor. She got fired last month. Turns out she'd made a few mistakes with lab results." It hit me like a wave. I just stared at him, unable to speak. He continued quietly, "I'm sorry, Emily. For not believing you, for walking away when you needed me most, and I wanted to forgive him. Part of me did, but another part, the one that carried that pain for so long, didn't know how." "Do you have any idea what that did to me?" I asked. "I thought I'd lost you, and for something that wasn't even real." He looked down. "I know. I lost you too, and that's on me. There was so much we wanted to say, but words can't rebuild what trust once held together." He reached across the table and touched my hand. For a brief moment, I let him. Then I pulled away, because sometimes closure doesn't mean going back. It means finally letting go, with peace instead of pain. After that meeting, I didn't cry, not once. For the first time, I felt free. I realized I'd been living in the almost loved, almost trusted, almost chosen. But life isn't meant to be lived halfway. So I changed things. I opened my own small wellness studio, started giving classes again, traveled with my daughter, laughed more, ate dessert without guilt, and slowly the ache turned into something else: gratitude. Because if Daniel hadn't broken me, I might never have rebuilt myself the way I did. A few months later, I got one last message from him. "You look happy." I'm glad I smiled. Typed back, "I am. Thank you." And that was it. No drama, no tears, just two people who once loved each other in the wrong way, at the wrong time, finally letting each other go the right way. You know, people always think closure comes from answers. But sometimes it's not about understanding why things happened. It's about understanding who you became because they did. I used to think my story with Daniel was a tragedy. Now I see it as a lesson, because he taught me what I'll never accept again: half love, half truths, half effort. He taught me that sometimes the person you think broke you was actually the one who set you free. So if you're listening to this and you're stuck on your own almost, please take this as your sign. You don't need someone to believe in you to start again. You just need to believe in yourself, because the right person won't need proof to trust you. They'll just know. And when that happens, you'll realize every heartbreak before that was just a rehearsal for the kind of love that doesn't doubt, the kind that doesn't fade, the kind that stays. This was my story, Emily's story. Not perfect, not finished, but finally mine.